Hello, and welcome to Bring On the Medicine, a Holistic Healers Summit. My name is Janae Robinson. I am the owner of Janae's Essentials in Burley, Idaho. I am a life coach, a yoga therapist, and the host of this summit. I am here with Sarah Greco. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to invite you, Sarah, to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
I'd love to. Thank you, Janae, for inviting me in this very special summit opportunity. I'm really grateful to be here. As Janae mentioned, my name is Sarah Greco. I have a master's degree in Medical Humanities, Compassionate Care, and Bioethics. I'm also a C-IAYT. I didn't say that correctly. I'll try it again. C-IAYT, a certified yoga therapist, and I'm a ERYT 500. And so I've been working in the field of yoga and yoga therapy for about 25 years now. And for the last 10, I've been focusing on yoga therapy. And for the last 7 or 8, I've actually been a trainer for yoga therapists. Um, Let me just take a breath. I, mm, in
That's
addition, in
oh,
addition to that, I run my own business, Your Compass, and I primarily offer yoga therapy, but I also provide meditation and yoga classes. Thank you.
thank you, Sarah. Yeah, when we have to sit down and actually think about who we are and what we do, it's like, wow, that is quite a list of accomplishments. And Sarah is someone that I have been meditating with since January. And so, Sarah, I wanted to ask you, what is a common myth about meditation and yoga therapy? What is it that you might hear?
I think that's a really great question. And I think in American culture, one of the myths that I run into the most is that meditation and yoga themselves are religious practices. And it's really easy to understand why that misconception dwells within many people's minds, especially when they have some or no experience with yoga and perhaps not the depth of years of study can bring. Because yoga and meditation are both spiritual practices. That is, they're about the personal connection that one has with something greater than themselves. In contrast, religion is about practices within a framework that's a little more structured within an organization. And so yoga and meditation are really beautiful because they can umbrella all these different frameworks of our religious diversity and provide us opportunities to engage in profound self-care on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level, and also to engage in profound, I think, interpersonal care. These practices support us in having an understanding, a greater understanding, a greater awareness of cause and effect, right? So that's what self-care is about, cause and effect. And so whether that's inside or it's interpersonal with other people in our lives, I think both provide that bridge. And so then again, when you bring that to our religious diversity or our spiritual needs, when we engage in practices that are umbrellaed under these terms, yoga and meditation, we can experience this cause and effect within ourselves in strengthening the felt sense that we have of being at peace in this world that we're living in, and also being connected and driven by something that's a little bigger than ourselves, something greater than ourselves.
I love that explanation. That was beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you.
And so you've been doing this work for a long time. And so I was wondering, what detailed insights have you learned from doing this work?
Yeah, another really great question. And I think, I had to really sort through. I spent some time with this question because I realized I really needed to sort through all of the insights that I receive as a result of this practice. And so that, I think, is the ultimate insight to mention, is that the practices really do work. So I could tell you about all these amazing aha moments that I've had for myself in terms of the way I approach my life. And when I've decided to listen to those ahas and implement the intelligence of them, how my life has benefited. But I think overall is that the practice itself has impact, and that those little details are really personal to me, and that the practice has impact is something that we can universally share, right? Because the impact of those practices will be personalized to you when you practice them, and the way that you practice will be personalized as well. And so I think that there's just a lot of hope and excitement and energy in realizing that if we do something, it's going to make a difference in a positive way. These practices really do work.
I love that. I love that. And I feel the same way. Is, it took me a long time to get through school, and it took me a long time to just embrace myself through this work. And I just kept continuing because it worked. I just knew that it worked. And whatever was coming up that I needed to work through needed to come up and allow me to work through. And I agree with you. These practices do work. So, just a personal question. Do you worry about your future, or do you take things as they come? I'm thinking of meditation and yoga and the present moment. And so I want to
Right.
that in.
All these practices are in place in my life. I do them daily, and so isn't my life perfect? No. Um, I think again, this is a great question because people, and myself included, take up these practices to address life's problems. And they have impact, they work. We just said that. Yet life stays life, and time moves forward. Things happen, accidents happen, people leave your life, they enter your life. And there's very little control that I have, in my life over those things. So, yes, there's worry about the future because I'm, as a human being, programmed to worry about the future. It's a genius part of my human nature is to worry about the future. By thinking about the future, I can plan for that future and actually help myself in the future. Brian Hansen, the author of Neurodharma, the Buddha's Brain, he speaks to this in his book. And he refers to an idea of living on the edge of now, being aware that you're on this edge of the unknown. And what you can do now is help yourself, that future self. And so, what do you do now to help future self? Um, and I thought that was a really great question, and of course it makes sense. We were kind of raised like that. I went to school, elementary school, thinking about my future self going to college. So, it's not it's this is something that we do in our culture. And we can overdo that, and that causes distress. And I think that's what the practices have helped me bring balance to, is how much I think or worry about the future. Worry, I think, is an interesting term too. How much do I think about the future? How much do I worry about the future? And so it is natural to worry about the future, which is why I said I do, because it is natural. The default network of the brain, the executive function, this talker right up front here that tells you about your life as you live it. I don't know if that happens. We all think differently. Mine does. But this part of the brain, its role is to identify problems for the sake of solving them in the future. So if I try to prohibit that process, I think it would be an undoing. It would be unnecessary trouble. But to get so caught up into solving the problems of the future so that I don't experience my present, that would be a problem as well, right? So I think that, I say, yes, I am concerned about my future. I really try to address worry, right? There are problems in life, but worry to me seems like a gerbil on a spinning wheel. And if I can catch myself there in ruminating, that's just being stuck in a habituated thought pattern. And these are all concepts and paradigms that are really important in yoga philosophy and yoga psychology. And so if I get stuck thinking about the problem of the future, then I'm needlessly worrying, and perhaps I don't hear my partner tell me that he loves me this morning. And I miss the joy of now. I miss the reassurance that right now can give me for that future. Missing my husband saying, I love you, means that I might think, oh, does my husband love me? What about our future? So I find that that's something that I try to embrace and be with and love in sort of a parental way within, if that makes sense. Like they're there. It's natural to worry. And don't let it eat you up, baby. Right? We can be with this. We can do something with this. And so, yeah, I guess I try to parent myself in loving what's natural, which is problem seeking and solving, and also being with something that's perhaps a little more developed or refined, which is the capacity to be here and now, grounded in the moment with the experience my body is having here on earth.
Thank you. And with that explanation, it really brought up a lot of things in my mind. I'm thinking that yoga therapy, meditation, it is a way to connect with ourselves, to bring us into the present moment so we can actually see what is really happening. And then you brought up that prefrontal cortex of the problem solving. When we can see what's really happening, we're in the present moment, we're more apt to be able to problem solve. And there are people out there that are ruminating. They don't know this. They don't know how to get there. They are they have had losses. They are really deeply worried. And so, what advice would you give someone who is struggling silently? Because, not everybody has even somebody to talk to.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And it makes it makes me think first of perhaps two scenarios in silently struggling, and maybe that these are umbrellas to all the details that would be individualized and unique for every person. And one is, and you alluded to this, is that they're not ready. There's no readiness to be seen and heard in that struggle. And so that's kind of a tricky place to be, because it's a stuck, inert place, non-moving. Yeah, a silent struggler may still have capacity and resilience to do something. And so maybe that person's listening here to us now. And my advice might be to find a class, a group that they can show up to without having to use their voice or be seen in a way that they're not ready. So you mentioned coming to a yoga practice that I offer on Mondays, and it's a small group. Someone not ready to be seen and heard might show up to my meditation because it's small, feel seen, and it might not feel like the right fit. You know, they might show up to a meditation by the Insight Meditation Center out of California with 50 participants and feel so much safer there. So I think the beautiful thing is that both are available as resources to those people. And the same thing with, using your voice. And I think AA can do this so well. You can show up to a meeting and you can speak or you can just listen. And I think that finding those types of resources, and again, a meditation group, even my small one, yes, I'll see you because it's smaller. But you don't have to say hi to me and you don't have to talk. You can just come, do the practice, and go on with your day. And so I would still say, it's a safe place. So if maybe you're ready to bridge that, be seen but not heard yet, maybe a smaller group would be a way to cross into that. But then there's people who are silently struggling who are ready to scream it out, get it out there. And for those people, I would really strongly encourage you to be involved with a therapist, a yoga therapist, a mental health therapist, art therapist, music, dance therapist. I mean, there's so many ways to allow the screams to come out in creative, um, oh, non-destructive ways. And so I think that would be my advice to that person who's ready to be seen and heard, is to find a therapist and work with them. Take a chance. And if the first one doesn't work for you, keep trying until you find, it's like a relationship. It's like a best friend, so you have to keep looking until you find the one that really, you know, just is a sync for you. And that one-on-one may not work for everybody. So I do also think that small group work, and honestly, I think for people who are feeling alone, small group work is so much more powerful than even one-on-one work because of the peer dimension that's available. So again, yoga therapists do offer small group work, as do mental health therapists, as do art therapists, and so on. And so I would encourage somebody who's ready to be seen and heard to engage in that way.
Thank you. So I know that you're doing some work with Michael Lee with couples.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you to share about that work that you're doing.
Yeah. Well, Michael Lee, the founder of Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy, and that is where I am a trainer in yoga therapy, as you know. Um, he and I have been facilitating a couples weekend retreat called Deepening Your Relationship. And we've been doing this for about almost 3 years now. We're going on our third year. And in this weekend workshop, which we also have a training program for, couples come to the workshop and we introduce them to an embodied, perhaps yogic way of connecting with themselves and then each other. And then ways of engaging shared, simple yet really profound shared yoga postures in a container of self-study, I would say, if that makes sense. So, for example, a couple might will be standing back to back, and they'll back to back touch. They might step away and stand, and then they might touch again. And in a yoga class, a yoga teacher might call this standing in balance, Tadasana, Samastiti, and together in a shared Samastiti, two people will have individual experiences. And so, using the Phoenix Rising work, we coach deep self awareness. And of course, in a shared experience, your awareness is not only of self, but it's how yourself is sort of talking to or communicating with or being with the other. And so, in watching that, because it's all happening inside. So, in the practices, we coach our couples to not talk out loud unless there's a safety reason, like I'm going to lose my balance, but to really keep their processes inside. So, thinking, well, the grip of the hand is hurting me or something, to find a way to non-verbally adjust that or to notice that you're saying that. And couples have an opportunity to really notice themselves more in relationship, how they show up individually to a relationship to then make this third entity the relationship. As a result of these experiences, what I see is deeper understanding one partner to the next of what a partner is experiencing. And oftentimes it's pain. Oftentimes it's pain. So there's a better appreciation, and not in a way that needs to resolve it for another or fix it for another, but in a way that one learns to hold space for the other, learns how to ask, how might I support you? With a little more ease and maybe a little more frequency. So, the nature of the work is to bring people into a shared experience and help them understand who they are within that. From that deeper understanding of themselves in the shared experience, with the opportunity to witness their most beloved person in a same authentic but unique flow of events. I do see couples, and I myself have experienced, I'm just thinking of the words to really encapsulate. It is that vibration of love. It's not a I need, I want that person, but it's like a vibration of love, a respect and a joy of who the other person is. To on Sunday to watch couples speak individually about their experience. We do that sometimes. We'll go around, each couple will say their own experience. And you'll witness a partner gaze upon their partner as they speak with these affectionate, just taking in eyes. You've helped them, I know I've helped them to access a state of being that they can access again and again. And that will come in handy. Come in handy. That might be the understatement of the year. But
Well,
will make the difference. Will make the difference when life is life, right? When I lost my dad a couple years ago, and it's because of how, it's because my partner and I engage in this couples work ourselves, that he's able to sit next to me and just let me cry with my grief. It can be natural, but he knows what he's doing because he's sort of trained in this way of being with himself and with me through this profound yoga therapy. So, have I answered your question?
You did, you
Okay.
did. I just hear, and I've experienced this work as well, but I just feel like we all have a container, we all have a capacity. And when we start to learn that within ourselves, and then we're put into a relationship, we choose to go into a relationship. Oftentimes, we don't really know how to show up for the other person. And some people are talkers and they can express what they need, and others, it's not, it never was safe for them. And
Yeah.
so they have a harder time. And couples work is some of the favorite work that I've ever experienced within myself. So I feel that you encapsulated it beautiful. There are opportunities for us to step into these experiences with our partners and create more vulnerability, more intimacy, because that's what we want. We want
Mhm.
connection. We're also, our brain is programmed for connection. And so, and I also love that, because I'm sure that people who are listening, it's like, oh, we can't say anything. We have to be silent. And that can be very difficult for
Yeah.
individuals too.
Yeah. So I guess, just to complete that idea, during the embodied exercises, we do coach participants to not speak, as a way of eliminating, unless safety is concerned, as a way of eliminating distraction and really enhancing and emphasizing self awareness. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no sharing. The couples do share. And what we do is really structure the way in which couples communicate, using some best practices actually from positive psychology, like, active and empathetic listening, and, and responding, empathetic responding. And, so they do learn this structure for communication, and that's been really important even for me in my own marriage, to honor that structure, especially when times get a little tough or we don't understand each other completely. That's when perhaps, my husband shares with me and I want to fill in the blanks with what I think. And that's very toxic. That goes toxic in my relationship pretty fast. As right as I can be all the time. I'm not right all the time. And so it's not good for me to try to fill in his blanks, and vice versa. It's best for us to really just listen to the other person and respect where they are, and their perspective, and so, that part of the structure within a session, of a couple's session and the couple's workshop, I think is very important and can provide, a really strong framework for working through those relationship challenges later on. I don't think you show up with those relationship challenges into the session. Um, that can be a little more difficult. I really think those are probably best held by a marriage therapist, um, because it's about deepening your connection. If the connection's broken, you got to go somewhere else. But if it's there and you want to enhance it, then this is absolutely, the right, I say right for myself, but maybe a powerful avenue to take, that does produce results. And the results are going to be deepened connection, honoring of those differences, and a greater capacity to know yourself and understand where your partner's coming from.
Yeah, and it also brings in this awareness. And I'm recalling a story that of an experience that I had, where we had to just look at each other, right? You spend a little bit of time just looking at each other, and it can be a little weird. And so you're not talking, you're just looking. And I had a memory come up of being a child on a Ferris wheel with my dad. And my dad was shaking the Ferris wheel, and I was petrified. I was so scared that I was going to flip over or fall out. I think I was 7 years old. And I had this awareness that my husband doesn't do that. He was
Mhm.
just standing there, and I saw this stability, his strength, his self-control. And I was able to just feel so safe and so cared for in that moment. And so we don't always need our words. A lot of times, just that awareness of where that person does show up. And
Mhm.
I, I didn't remember that memory. I don't know why it popped out at that time, but it was information. And
Yeah.
so it is an opportunity for us to just gain this information about what's going on. And
What a beautiful story, Janae.
yeah,
Thank you for
yeah,
sharing that. Wow.
yeah. And I wanted to move in, and this next question is really asking you, Sarah, if you have had a life-changing revelation from this work. And it can be couples work, it can be um, yoga therapy work, meditation work, anything that you want to share, something that you want to share.
Yeah, I think this question I shared with you. I had taken some time to really reflect on these questions. You were so gracious to give them to me. These are not easy questions to answer. So I was thankful to have time to reflect on them. And this one, I don't know if this is a poem, but it sort of feels like a poem to me, and it's just what I wrote out, and I feel like I still want to massage it a bit, but I'll share it with you. Okay?
I would love that.
Thank you. So, if life is like a river flowing from conception to decomposition, it became important for me to see myself in the water now, recognize the rapids and reactions, halt the habitual, learn a new way to be in the way. Outer awareness, inner awareness, general awareness, focused awareness, self awareness, meta awareness. Abide in the sea of awareness, in the consciousness of the observer. Take it all in and allow clarity. Free of questions and confusion, allow all simply to be just as it is. A shift from the frantic search into the serendipitous discovery of the meaning of life. I am here now with you. Float with me. For as long as we can, simply rest with this glorious fresh breath. Life is like a river. It's become important for us to see ourselves in that river, taking on those rapids and balancing reaction with response. Paddle out of still, stagnated pools, navigating with a synchronicity that only connection explains.
Wow. I want us and our listeners to be able to really take a breath and also invite them to rewind if they need to hear that. Um, that's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you for letting me share it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And I wanted to ask you, what is one lesson that your career has taught you that you think that everyone should know?
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great question. When this is the one thing I have learned. If you're interested in participating, show up. Show up. 100% show up. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be picked first on the team. The last one picked still participates. It's only the ego that's hurt, right? But show up. Show up. And I say that you know, with yoga and alternative healing, I took that on in the late 90s, early 2000s, and there wasn't a lot of action out there. It was, very hidden and in pockets. It's alternative, not complementary care yet. So my path was definitely full of it, injections. Like, I would inject myself into the hospital and talk about yoga. I would, and really show up. And a lot of times I remember, looks of like, how did you even get in here? Or, you know, uh, different responses or reactions of surprise because my background was alternative. Okay, well, that did enough. And then I started to train with Phoenix Rising, and I didn't know this yet. I hadn't really cognitively understood it yet, but for my own benefit, I thought, well, I'm going to assist these courses. And it was really because I wanted to reimmerse myself in learning that I showed up. But I showed up. I showed up to assist, and I kept showing up to assist. And in showing up, things happened, and then I was seen, I was heard. I wasn't first picked for the team when I showed up. I was definitely like benched. And so, I just worked through that. I was with that. I wanted something. So showing up definitely, I think was one of the things that helped me with my relationship and position with Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy, which I'm immensely passionate about. But most recently, I had an opportunity to work with Stony Brook University here in New York State. And I'm the only yoga therapist, non-PhD, non-MD in the room. It's a hard room to show up to. And I'm a volunteer in there, but I show up. For a long time, they called me a yoga person. But now they're starting to refer to me as a yoga therapist. I also teach a course now for Stony Brook University at their medical school. That's where I'm showing up. And this is where opportunities are starting to greet me at the door. Stony Brook doesn't understand the medical school, perhaps, like, I don't know if that's the right way I want to say that. Let me think about this. It's like when I work with the educators there, I can feel their curiosity of like, why are you here? Who are you? Yet they keep asking me to come back, and they keep being excited when I show up. So in the meantime, I'm able to have these interactions with young medical students, physicians in training, and talk to them in very similar ways about very similar topics as we're discussing today. And I see what they enter medical school with, just immense compassion, immense passion for healing people and making the world a better place, and this, strong conviction of the meaning of medicine. And it's really been a joy to support that. So, and I don't think I would if I wasn't just showing up. So I think if you want something out there, like if you're a yoga therapist and you really want to work with, well, there's a beautiful institution here on Long Island that is, I believe, the Helen Keller House, and it's a whole home for people who have both blindness and deafness. Right now, I'm not the yoga therapist for that house because I don't know, I don't have experience working with either population. But I know there's a yoga therapist out there who can. And I know someday when that connection is made, that if that yoga therapist just starts showing up, that door will be opened and a tremendous impact will be had there for the better. So I'm hoping someone shows up there soon. I'm sure they will.
I think so too. I think so too. And yeah, showing up, just showing up. We do have to step past some fears. We do have to step past being seen or failure. There's all of these things. Um, and I do have to share just a quick little thing is this year, 2025, I decided that I wanted to just try new things. And that's what brought this summit together. I just decided to show up. I had a sticky note with the name on it on my desk for about a year. And then in January, I just found that sticky note and said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to show up. And I started shuffle dancing this year. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it at all. I'm posting it on social media, but I'm just showing up. You know that I don't have any haters, thankfully, at least not the ones that are typing to me. Um, but I decided that I just wanted to try new things. And when we can show up, and you had used that term, complementary care, that's when the integration of worlds starts to happen, right?
Yes. Yes.
We're not all in a little box of, oh, I don't have an MD. How can I step in that room? But knowing that what you do have is value to the patient.
Yeah.
It's value to the patient. And so, yes, we show up because of the patient.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, beautiful. I just love that, Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah. And congratulations. I mean, the power of just showing up, you are making it happen, and your presence is growing, and it's been very exciting to watch.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. And so here you are, here you are in these different worlds, these different realms of you showing up. And I wanted to know how your perspective of mental health has changed over time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. I think really it's my understanding that mental health, just like physical health, needs nutrition and exercise and joy. Um and love. Everything that physical health needs, mental health needs. And I think I say that because, mental health, let's just take balance, for example. The function of balance, that's a brain function. People say to me, I'm good or I'm bad at balance all the time. Usually I'm bad at balance, is what they say. I'm bad at balance. But that's not the most accurate way, really, to articulate that experience. It's really you're unpracticed at. You're not nourished nor exercised in balance, right? And so balance is a function of the brain. So if you eat well, you're well nourished, you have the energy for it, and you practice, you will be good or better at balance. I used to think the same of mental health. Like people were either sharp and with it, or they were not, like there was something off or not working right or something like that. And of course, when I say this, I'm talking about me in, the 90s, the early 2000s. And so when I say that, I hope I'm not being offensive. I'm not trying to do that. I'm using the terminology and the awareness we had at the time, right? So when I started, that's what I thought. But now so much more, has been uncovered and shared, and I've been so much more educated that I now realize, like I said, it's not just about nutrition and exercise. I'm saying it's about that, but it's not just about that. It's also about, the social determinants of health and mental health. The environment impacts us just as much as our choices do. So while I guess, that's also been a change. Like, oh, mental health is something we can impact through our choices. Okay, so is mental health a result of choices? Well, it kind of got maybe dwelled there for a minute. Maybe I got stuck there for a minute. But then thank God for more research, more education, more understanding. Right? And it's not just about those choices, it's about these social determinants. And right now, even in the social environment that we're in, there's stress that impacts my body, my mental health. I hear more people speaking to their mental health because of what's happening outside of their choices and what they have control over. So it's tough. And I think for that reason, I think that more than ever now, I see mental health as something to really pursue on an individual level. I think I make it more of a practice. And that's partly why I started my Monday morning like an anchor meditation practice. I wanted to not only offer to the people who work with me a place that they could anchor into easily without expense, just come, just be, an open door. But I also needed that anchor. Those people showing up put me there too. And real briefly, I'll just share that over the last 2 weeks, I experienced an accident, an injury, and it's been pretty painful. And so sitting in meditation has been a challenge for me. I actually, because of the discomfort and like the little bit of pain, because it can kind of grow into pain if I sit for usually about 20 minutes in the morning. And what's been happening is on my own, when I meditate by myself, I can sit for 5, 10, I'm up to 10 minutes now, and then I have to lay down and just alter my position. I try to maintain my meditation, but I alter my position. But when I'm with the group, when I'm in the classroom and leading, I can sustain the meditation the entire time. And, that to me is just a testament to, again, the power of connection and the power of togetherness, power of community, Sangha. Um, but yeah, I really feel like that meditation is a foundation. Um, that it's something to just keep returning to not ever assume that suddenly, like, oh, it's all set. Like I've got it all, I'm a meditator, like little period complete. Right? It doesn't have it's an ongoing process. And that falling out and away from practice is just as natural and normal as being adhered into it. And so yeah, um I think that's just something to reaffirm in oneself. It's not about being tight. That's just another form of stress, being tight to some protocol. It's, I think, really just about knowing that you have an anchor, knowing that it's there for you, making the choice to come back to it. And that's really helped me. It's really supported me because it's not always easy, and it's not always, you know, it's a practice. It takes discipline. That's been my experience, affirmed.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I just feel like the benefits of yoga and meditation with the brain science that we have now, with the scans that we have, the studies that are being done are so incredible. And you talked about being able to return. And what I kept thinking of is in life, when we get triggered, let's say we want to just walk out of our job that day, right? But then we realize, oh, maybe I had a little bit of fault in this. And then we return because we want that repair of, I left here hot-headed. I could see my fault in this. Can we start over again and solve this problem? Same with relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're mad and we might go into a different room, but we have to learn to come back because that's where repair is. And
Yeah.
meditation and yoga, it's we're meeting our body in this place. We may feel like there's something wrong with our brains. I mean, I know I have felt that way before, but in reality, it's just where I am that day. And can that acceptance come in of, okay, I know I'm doing something beneficial for myself. And for me, I do go to Sarah's morning meditation on Mondays. It's 5 a.m. for me. So it's like I have to get up. I know I have a long day that day. And so, but it's something that I have dedicated myself to experiencing because again, this year is about doing things, just try these different things. I want to seed different things into my life. And I'm not there to derive a benefit in any way. It's really just, well, what would happen if I did this? What would
Mhm.
happen if I did this? How do I feel when I don't do it? How do I feel when I do it? And it just brings in that information, which in turn does offer more choice.
Mhm.
And so I really like what you had said about coming back because that we have to come back. If you think about in your day how often you come back, and when we can practice coming back, right? That's what we're
Mhm.
doing. It is a practice. We're not going to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked earlier about the worry of the future, and even in that, meditation helps us in the process of coming back. I mean, yeah, I have sort of a reactive, like, big, spontaneous spirit, and I've had to work a lot with that part of myself to just become more responsive, more grounded. But one of the things that can happen for me is when I hear distressing news about someone else, I can get really afraid for them fast. And so that can be, just a panic, like a worry about the future. And I definitely believe in my own experience of meditation, which you know, n in that practice that I've been guiding and in my own personal practice, sometimes I do something a little spiritual before the meditation, like I'll say a prayer or something for myself or for the world, but in the meditation practice itself, I just focus on bringing attention back to breath, being mindful of where the distractions are, but just coming back to the breath. And that's the practice is just coming back to the breath. As you're saying, just come back to the meditation class. But when I go off into fear and worry about somebody that I love and their future, um, it's come back to right now, and I think the practice, there's the mental health benefit of meditation practice is that learning, like, wow, this is where I've gone in my mind. Let's come back to this breath. And that's where I think we can individually learn how to respond to ourselves compassionately, because our minds can fly off. They were designed to do that. It's a beautiful function of the brain until it's not. Right. So I think the more we can practice mindfulness, recognizing where those thoughts have gone, and then this tether, bringing it back to the here and now. And that comes from meditation practice, but it also comes from asana practice as well, because asana practice is meditation under duress, I think, in ways. It's holding focus, it's holding inward focus in a place where your body has to work. And sometimes it feels pain in working. Sometimes it's uncomfortable in working. Um, and when you can even be with that and bring yourself back to a place of being focused and concentrated, that's tremendous mental willpower, and mental skill. And that person definitely will live a life according to their own creative spirit for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's bringing to mind impulse control. It's bringing to mind discipline. It's bringing to mind, just all sorts of things that when we have those things in our lives, then we mature. We're maturing and we're growing and we're shifting and we're more willing to look at other perspectives and not be just so one-sided and heels in the ground.
Yeah, expanded worldview. It's
Yeah.
so important to have that.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And I just had a little whimsical question because
Yeah.
um, when I go to meditation, I've known Sarah for years. I've done many classes that she has taught, and you are just so good with your words. You
Mhm.
you bring you just bring like, oh, I've just never thought to think of it this way. And the the reason that I put this question in was because you had said something in January, one of the first meditation classes that you did that I went to, and it was about holding the seed. Here we are in winter still, and we're holding the seed. And I have done workshops on that. I've written blogs about holding the seed. Like it just inspired me so much. And so I know that your parent are both were both of your parents teachers.
They are, well, yes, they were. Yep.
And so I don't know if there was any influence. I was thinking, wow, she lived in a teaching environment, I'm sure, at home. But
I
I want
certainly did.
just a little whimsical question, like where do you come up with these beautiful words?
Yeah, that again, I think that's a great question. And the answer is hard for me to articulate, but let me see if I can. One, I just want to acknowledge and honor all the words of all my teachers in my entire past.
Mm.
Nothing I say is new. Everything has been passed down. Michael Lee from Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy, Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, Iyengar. I mean, and I'm mentioning authors of books, of yoga books, but yeah, I can, and then the many teachers, the women, the modern yoga teacher here in the US, they're brilliant. They're so poetic. I'm blown away sometimes by the classes I attend out there. I'm blown away by those yoga teachers who can sort of tone and craft this very interesting articulated experience through the integration of poetry and yoga. It's been very inspiring, and definitely Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy has had their share of teachers who have exquisite skill with words. Thank you for even suggesting I might dwell among them, because there are classes that I took during my trainings that I remember and can only aspire to be able to recreate. And I have never been able to recreate that class. It just was so good. But I think so yes, inspiration from others, and using what works, what has landed so profoundly, okay, in myself. I think just trusting that all that's there, and then in the moment allowing it to flow. And I think that for me has been key. My ego is very clumsy, and I think was trying to introduce me way back at the beginning of the video. She's not good with words. She's very clumsy. Like when I am very attached to what I'm saying or how what I'm saying is going to make me look, Um, yeah, I'm very clumsy, and that can happen for first classes in new environments, a new person in a class. Oh my goodness. Anything that's kind of different where I'm like, oh, this is important. I can sort of put my ego in the way and it's just obstructing. So I think my words come when she steps aside and I'm just in the flow. And she's judging the entire thing. It's not like she's quiet over there. She's like, do you even know what you're talking about right now? That's mostly what she says to me in this ear. Um, and a lot of times, that response is, no, I'm not really sure. I'm just going with this. And so for a long time, it has been a held belief that some of my best messages shared have been channeled, come from a source that's not necessarily my own cognitive process, but something that is influenced by something greater than myself. And when they have impact, it's always a relief and a joy and a surprise, because in my own self, I always experience the desire, just like I am right now, the desire to say things in the way that I really want to. And sort of this inner critic that says to me, you're using can'ts and, conjunctions, and you're shortening words, and you're speaking with, slang here and there, right? I mean, just kind of picking on me. Now, that's my inner critic. She's been there for a long time. We have a relationship. She's been tougher on me in the past. We have
Good
a working
information.
relationship now. But when that inner critic really steps aside, that's when the best flows happen, and that's where the words come from. I try to plan. I rarely have time. I mean, I have notes for our interview today. I have looked a few times at them because there were things that really I knew I went deep with, and I knew I had taken some notes about, and I wanted to capture that. But I think when I'm just myself and I'm just in the flow, that's when I think the best words have flowed into this interview.
That's so beautiful to bring up flow. Yeah. I mean, that's where we want to be in life. And that authentic place. And you have had these teachers, you've had these experiences in your home life, you have thoughts of your own, you have impact that is important to you. And being able to show up and practice, right? And actually use your voice, all of this has come out. And so like I said, it was a little bit of a whimsical question, but I just love where you took it, Sarah. Absolutely love. And
Thanks.
so,
That one was hard to answer too. I was like, wait, what?
no, wait a minute. Yeah, because I don't think I've ever told you how impactful that your words are to me. I don't
Thank
think I've
you.
ever told you that, but I'm just like, because I'm a Phoenix Rising yoga therapist. So I've learned this process, and I've had to articulate people's bodies into positions that I want them to go into. It's hard.
It's
It's
hard.
difficult when you're not mirroring with them. You're not doing the practice with them. So having that practice of using your words to move bodies, it can be a little intimidating for sure. And
Yeah.
so I've listened to many of Sarah's classes, and I'm like, "Ah, that is such a great way to move a person's body." And I just wanted to just, let you know that I am inspired by your words for sure.
Well, that's wonderful, Janae. And I will share this. In terms of words to move people's bodies, yes, I can credit those same teachers, but really, that creativity comes from the students that come through Phoenix Rising yoga therapy training programs. My goodness, what a privilege I experience to be the leader in the room who gets to experience cohort after cohort after cohort My goodness, these people are so talented. They are so smart, so clever. Seriously, I take credit for nothing. These people, my husband always says to me, don't be the smartest person in the room, be the one who's watching all the smart people in the room and learn. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. So, and so true, but it has that the movement cues, I will hands down say to you, that is what I learned from my students. They have been amazing,
Awesome.
and
Yeah.
you're among them.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. Yeah. Well, Sarah, I wanted to say thank you for showing up today and helping me with this summit. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to let people know, where can they go to find you? Where can they get more information about what you do?
Sure. Well, thank you. Janae, it has been just a real pleasure to, again, just get the questions to reflect on themselves. That was so rewarding for me. And then this time spent with you has been really awesome. It has been time for me to, practice articulating, but also just time in connection with you too. I've really enjoyed sharing stories and sharing our perspectives on all of these topics that you've brought. So thank you for that invitation to share. If people want to connect with me, yeah, I would love that. And I definitely welcome and invite that. People can find me at my website, www.yourcompass.com. And Your Compass is spelled, compass is with a K. So YOURKOMPASS, yourcompass.com. And you can always put that into a search engine, Your Compass Yoga Therapy, and that'll find me as well. If you are interested in training with me, however, then I would encourage you to go to the Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy website, and you can find that very easily at www.pryt.com. On both platforms, you will have a contact us page, and you can use the website CAPTCHA to send a message through, or you could always email me yourself if you would like to at hello@yourcompass.com, and I would welcome any message and any greeting, any inquiry as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, it's our time to say goodbye to our viewers. And so thank you for watching. I am going to hit the stop button. So
All right.